nation woke up to another round of protests today, with young Nigerians taking over the streets and major highways as early as 7 a.m. Most workers who had set out to beat the usual gridlock in Lagos could not move for hours as they were held down in the traffic. And in Abuja, 2 Endsars protesters were killed this evening after they were attacked by hoodlums in Apo. Earlier in the day, the protesters were confronted by the police as they fired tear gas to disperse them, but they were undeterred as they regrouped to continue with their procession. Now, it was violent in Benin City as hoodlums hijacked the protest, allegedly burning down 3 police stations and freeing inmates at the correctional center in Sapele Road, Benin City. While here in Lagos, the state governor and some of his colleagues have set up panels of inquiry to assess the grievances of victims of police brutality and human rights violation. But let's begin with the incident in Abuja where 2 protesters were killed. At least 2 members of the Endsars protesters have lost their lives this evening in an apparent attack by the hoodlums in the Apo area of Abuja. Eyewitness reports told Channels Television that the Endsars protesters were attacked after they blocked the road leading to the area, which infuriated some hoodlums in the area. The hoodlums also set ablaze a car mart in the vicinity, which they wrongly assumed to belong to the protesters. And for that, our correspondent, Kayla Magwa, gives us a report.
You can imagine. Area of the nation's capital. Apo was just brought under control of the police tonight at 8 p.m. Eyewitnesses tell us that the problem started when the Endsars protesters, as they usually do, blocked the road in Apo, refusing anyone crossing. And apparently some pro-SARS protesters and locals from the area were not happy about this. And of course, the story that we heard from eyewitnesses was that the locals actually attacked the Endsars protesters. And then, of course, the pro-SARS protesters joined in that attack as well. So that's what happened. There was a retaliation, of course, from the Endsars protesters and some other locals who were trying to, help the Endsars protesters retaliate the attack on them, and that was what started the problem. It turned out into an entire brawl, and we have eyewitnesses telling us that they saw at least 3 dead bodies on the street. That's what the eyewitnesses are telling us tonight. The police, of course, have gained control of the area at about 8 p.m. today, but we do not know who did the actual killing. So this is an ongoing investigation. We will be reaching out to the police force to see exactly what is being done about the situation. It was a very intense day of protest really around the nation's capital. The Nyanya axis was cordoned off at some point today. The AYA axis, of course, we saw many protesters, many Endsars protesters there. And even on the way to the presidential villa, there were some protesters who tried to make their way to the route that leads to the presidential villa. Of course, they were stopped. And we've been seeing all of these things continue to happen in the nation's capital despite demands from the National Assembly, from different quarters, even today, from the Minister of Sports and Youth Development, asking the protesters to stand down while the government meets their demands, and of course raising fears that there could be miscreants who would take advantage of a situation, of a misunderstanding, to perpetrate their crimes, as we have seen in the incident that happened in Apo today. So that's the situation in the nation's capital. We'll be watching to see how it unfolds. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
And we also hear that in that incident earlier in the day, we understand that houses, shops and tricycles were also burnt as we keep our eye on what's going on in that area. But I mean, staying in the capital, the protesters are back on the streets as soldiers mounted checkpoints, particularly in the Manaraba Nyanya Road, linking Nasarawa State to the nation's capital. The protesters who converged on the popular AYA roundabout began the day with a peaceful procession along Yakubu Gawan Crescent, housing the ECOWAS Secretariat and the World Bank. Singing and chanting Endsars, the protesters attempt to walk through the John F. Kennedy Street, linking the back of the gate to the presidential villa, but the police interrupt the march using tear gas.
The day begins on a peaceful note as soldiers mount checkpoints along Maraba Yaya Road to prevent Endsars protesters from blocking the road. The calm atmosphere extends to the force headquarters as a group called the Coalition of Original Inhabitants of the Federal Capital Territory staged a peaceful protest demanding an end to the blocking of the roads by Endsars protesters.
None of these hypocrites have come one day in solidarity of the indigenous people or to protest and say they want to address our plight. None of them. But today, they have taken over all the streets in Abuja and want to make it categorically clear that between now and 48 hours, if we see anybody taking over the indigenous communities of Abuja, we will have no other choice than to engage the person.
The presence of security personnel notwithstanding, the Endsars protesters converge on AYA roundabout, marching through Yakubu Gawan Crescent, singing and chanting protest songs. The procession is soon interrupted by policemen from the FCT command. In opposition to the Endsars protesters, the pro-SWAT movement take over the Unity Fountain, insisting that the Endsars protesters' demands have been met.
The reason why we are out as well, meaning Nigerians, is because we are able to understand that the protest has been hijacked by some elements who are bent on causing mayhem and destruction, and that was not the plan of the protests. The real protesters are no longer on the streets. As well, meaning Nigerians, we will not remain passive and allow this situation to further escalate.
After the police dispersed the Endsars protesters, they regrouped at the Akpo roundabout, halting all forms of vehicular movement. Some of the protesters insist they'll remain on the streets until they see positive steps from the federal government.
We are still out here because we have been hearing all these things, we've dissolved this, they keep promising us. We say no to bad governance.
We don't want SARS anymore. They should stop all this police brutality. We don't want it.
With the continued demonstration of the Endsars protesters and the appearance of pro-SWAT movement on the scene, the days ahead may be tense.
And in Edo State, southern Nigeria, the Endsars protests have taken a violent turn after a group of people who are said to be hoodlums freed some prisoners from the medium security correctional center on Sapele Road. As it stands, 1,835 inmates are now said to be at large, with 5 of them losing their lives in the process of escaping. And this comes after protesters practically shut down Bini, the state capital, lighting bonfires and grounding vehicular movement. Following the prison break, the state government has imposed a 24-hour curfew across the state until further notice.
Images of fleeing prisoners from Benin Correctional Center on Sapele Road invaded this morning by alleged hoodlums.
See that freedom, freedom.
They are said to have hijacked the Endsars protests in the city, unleashed violence on residents, and allegedly burned 3 police stations in different locations. This inmate could not make it out of the correctional center as he was shot by an officer believed to be a law enforcement agent, and this caused more pandemonium. In other parts of Benin City, thousands of youth set up bonfires on major streets and highway, preventing residents from going about their daily activities. This activity is their own way of keeping the protest going. And they say they will not leave until authorities attend to all their needs. The state government confirms the attack on the city, explaining that not less than 10 inmates are on the run. The government has described the situation as unwarranted as it imposes 24-hour curfew across the state. The curfew takes effect from 4 p.m. October the 19th, 2020, and this decision, according to the government, follows the incidents of vandalism and attacks on private individuals and institutions by hoodlums in the guise of Endsars protest. It's not clear when these protests will end, but obviously the youths appear unrelenting as they continue to press home their demands.
Meanwhile, the Edo State Deputy Governor Philip Shuaibu has been speaking about the violent incidents which led to the imposition of a curfew in the state today. Mr. Shuaibu told Channels Television that the government has asked the Endsars protesters to stand down to avoid a further escalation of tension in the state. He also gave an update on the prison break. The Deputy Governor was a guest on our political program, Politics Today.
We have appealed to them to stand down in our collective interest, including their interest. We don't want any of them to lose their lives. These hoodlums have their own target, and we don't want any of them to lose their lives. So we have appealed to them to stand down. What we've done beyond the 24-hour curfew is that we've also set up a 12-month judicial panel of inquiry to look at all the demands and all the issues surrounding the protest. And that judicial panel of inquiry is headed by retired Justice Egiamuso. And we are also making some publication for all of them to submit their grievances.
How many prisoners are out there? How many of them have been captured? And what do we know now?
Yeah, Shaun, there are many of them. As at this morning, when the first jailbreak took place, we only have a record of about 10 to 15 of them. And as at that time, Oko prison have not been invaded. As I speak, I'll be able to give you these figures after our meeting this night. And as far as the situation is concerned, we must extract.
In part two, after the break, we'll have more on the Endsars protest, this time from other parts of the country. Plus, we'll join our correspondent, Olu Phillips, who'll give us a live update from the Lekki area of Lagos tonight. That's all coming up in a moment. Do join us again.
Okay, sir, but why not go for this bigger screen? The resolution is better too, but more expensive.
I will spend more and I will go for this.
Johnny, I am your future self. And as you can see, our future looks great. Don't ruin it by spending indiscriminately. Splurge a little, but think about our tomorrow. Save more for later.
Sorry, I will save money and go for this.
Save more for later by adding voluntary contributions to your retirement savings account with Stanbic IBTC Pension Managers. Call 01-2716,000 to open the Stanbic IBTC Pension account today. Stanbic IBTC Pension Managers, a member of Standard Bank Group.
Make a load recharge card, I beg. I don't find the money.
Plenty day to win for the 9 Mobile Mega Millions promo. 1 million naira for one person every day for 90 days. 2 smartphones every hour, every day for 90 days. 10 million naira star price day. New customers just come with side or buy a new line, and we go send you free 1 gigabyte plus 500 naira airtime. So make you the recharge 200 naira or more. Make you for the win.
9 Mobile. Penicillin, ethanol, flour, sugar, glue, whiskey, corn silk, starch, oil, livestock feed, all from corn. You will discover endless opportunities when you search deeper, and to enjoy their full worth, you need an innovative payment solutions partner that creates value from the obvious and sees opportunity in the not so obvious. InterSwitch, transaction solutions you can depend on.
Running a growing small business is not easy. It's all hands on deck for me and my small team of 12. And I know that to get the best out of them, I need to keep them in tip-top shape. This is why I started the search to find the best HMO for them. But most of the HMOs I found said they don't cater to small businesses like mine. Ouch. Then someone introduced me to Reliance HMO, and I was able to register all my staff immediately. Their rates are flexible and affordable, and I also get a swift response from my account manager anytime, any day. The services are that great. Indeed, you can rely on Reliance HMO for your small business and its healthcare needs.
Visit reliancehmo.com/corporate or call 0700-7354-2623 to get a quote for your small business and start enjoying reliable healthcare today. Reliance HMO. You can rely on us.
Lovers of Squadron Dark Rum and the game of football have one thing in common: the passion to always win. The road to victory is not an easy one, but we forge ahead anyway. And when the whistle blows, we rejoice. As of Squadron Dark Rum, we satisfy our taste for victory. Squadron Dark Rum, a taste of freedom.
See you tomorrow, Papa. I am happy and I know I'm free.
Now time for meeting. Any landlord when no show go pay fine.
Make I go call her.
House number 1. Present.
Papa, they don't start meeting you.
House number 5.
And you're angry that you're not here.
Just put me on the window there so that I can see them and I can hear them. He's not around, so his house is sanctioned. Present. I carry data for head, I carry him for back. Correct that I will know the payment. Say I know they know me, say I know the CEO landlord. Talk to me face to face.
Explore without limits. Turn it up on MTN, the reliable data network.
Driver, fire ahead.
Value. When your day of retirement comes, that's all that really matters. One of the factors that separates ordinary people from those who enjoy wealth is their trust over the years in a PFA that generates good returns on their pension funds. So live the life of a most valued pensioner. MVP. Knowing that Nigeria's MVP FA is working tirelessly for you, creating wealth for the retirement you desire. Crusader Sterling Pensions, a member of the Custodian Investment PLC Group.
Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Channels Television, ubiquitous.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. 2 Endsars protesters killed in the nation's capital after they were attacked by hoodlums who also burned several cars in a car mart. Voice of the Nigerian youth reverberates across the country with the Endsars protests continuing. Protests in Edo State hijacked by hoodlums as they attacked correctional center, freeing many inmates. And protesters in Abuja dispersed by police using tear gas as President Muhammadu Buhari again appeals to the youths to give room for implementation of demands. In Lagos, youths cordoned off Ojodu Burger access adjoining Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. They also cordoned off Allen Avenue, impeding access to the Alan Okbebi Road in Ikeja. Several roads were equally blocked around Alausa, which is where the state government house is situated. Earlier today, government offices were shut and Lagos State civil servants were seen carrying their bags and other personal belongings, leaving the office premises. Now let's cross over live now to our correspondent, Olu Phillips. He's in the Lekki area. Olu, what can you tell us tonight about the protest where you are? All right, we're trying to establish contact with him, and we will get him because he's been there trying to let us know what's going on in that area, as many people are interested in that. But let's just move on for a moment before we go back to Olu. And the Lagos State government has ordered the indefinite closure of public and private schools in the state. A statement by the State Commissioner for Education, Folashade Adefisayo, directs that the schools be closed as a result of the tension generated by the Endsars protests. The Commissioner adds that the safety of the students, parents, as well as staff working in the schools across the state is paramount at this critical time. She also encouraged schools to use other means of distance teaching and learning like radio, television and online media, as they've been doing during the recent COVID-19 lockdown, adding that a new date of resumption for all classes will be announced as soon as possible. The Nigeria Governors Forum has condemned the attacks on the governor of Osun State, Adegboyega Oyetola, by armed persons while he was addressing the anti-police brutality protesters in the state capital, Osogbo. In a communique issued at the end of its emergency meeting, the NGF asked the protesters to take steps to end the demonstrations by engaging with the government at both national and state levels to ensure that the protests are not taken over by hoodlums who were instigating a breakdown of law and order in many parts of the country. Meanwhile, the Endsars protesters continued their march in several states across the country. And this next report looks at how the protests went in Ekiti, Ogun, Ondo, Enugu, Imo, Niger, Akwa Ibom, and Bayelsa states.
Another day of the Endsars protests, and the momentum still appears high. This roadblock in Ogun State in the southwest shows how serious the matter is. The concert is just a way to ease the tension of the protesters who are trying to make sense of it all.
Sometimes I just ask myself, what's the purpose of going to school when I know when I'm through with the school, if I don't know somebody, I can't get a job. You know, sometimes I just get tired.
If you look at the second standard of Nigerian national anthem, say where peace and justice shall reign. We are just after the peace, we are after the justice, and we just want our voices to be heard.
In Ondo State, the streets have been cordoned off by youths seeking what they describe as freedom. The same can be said of Ekiti State, where protesters have taken over the streets.
But what we know here is that people are just speaking up for what? Speaking up for a better Nigeria, speaking up for a reformed system, speaking up for people to know that this country can be better for it.
Like in other states, the protesters in Enugu in the southeast know exactly what they want and are determined to get their demands addressed. Same goes for neighboring Imo State, where the streets are filled with committed protesters. In Niger State in the northwest, the protesters have an articulated list of wants.
We are agitating on three basic needs of our life. That is insecurity, AEDC, and the situation of our routes. It's quite unfortunate and it's very bad, and we cannot contain the situation.
It's a peaceful protest. It's a peaceful protest.
The scenes in the South-South are no different, as protesters in Yenagoa, the Bayelsa State capital, take over the roads to press their demands.
It's not a crime to be doing well. It's not a crime to have cars. It's not a crime to be educated. It's not a crime for you to live your standard human rights. So I'm here to lend my voice that SARS must end, SWAT must end, the police must be reformed mentally, socially, and every other wise. And that's why I've come here to give my voice.
In Uyo, also in the South-South, the protesters appear to have set the motion for an end to a peaceful resolution, with the banner addressed to President Muhammadu Buhari. The drive towards ending any conflict can only be achieved when understanding sits with understanding. Hopefully, all parties will bring this notion to the table to move in the desired direction.
Now, we're still keeping our eye on the process here in Lagos. Let's try and see if we can join our correspondent, Olu Phillips, again. So, Olu, tell me, what's happening where you are right now with the protest in Lekki?
Can I say it's been a horrendous day moving around Lagos, and every turn you make, the streets are beginning to feel the real impact of what's going on right here and many other centers. Now, this is it. Away from the crowd that we see here, away from the activities, same people, same chanting, same story, same demand. Away from it, we're beginning to see the real effect on economy. And I'm afraid, for instance, earlier today on the Oshodi-Apapa Expressway, a critical road nerve to the nation's premier port and two of the nation's ports, high revenue earner, as we speak, people and trucks and goods concerned can't make it to the port and can't get out of the port because the highway has been blocked. Now, also remember that that's also the habitat for all of the oil tanks and the reservoir tanks for oil imported into this country. Now, I also saw some of those trucks stranded on the road on the Oshodi-Apapa Expressway, and they can't make it to their destination. Now, so I want to keep asking these people, even in the war-torn situation, there is a time you need to cease fire to allow for humanitarian exercises and to allow for food to move in, which is being hampered now by the various standpoints and standoffs that we have. Let me ask one of the guys that are protesting here, please can you come? I mean, are you not bothered that people are beginning to suffer as a result of the activity that is going on here? Foods can't make it into Lagos, petroleum products can't make it into Lagos. Is this the aim of this protest? No, it's not. I think we're just getting started, and I think a lot of young people here are very firm about what they want. They understand what we demand as Nigerians: better governance, end to police brutality, police reform, improve police welfare. And I think based on the question you asked about challenges with transportation and logistics, I don't think we have that problem. I think we're very creative. We're an innovative generation. Whatever problem confronts us, hey, we have waterways. We need to bring food here by water. We'll do that. Yeah, but not just for you, for other people who necessarily are not here, but need to go about their businesses. Because also we understand that most roads will be shut out. Are you not bothered that it seems like hoodlums are beginning to hijack this process? No, I don't think so. I think if you look around, you see a lot of what I call calm faces, but then there's a lot of pent-up frustrations. I'll use that word. And people come here to express their rights, to protest, come here to voice their opinions about how they feel they've not been treated positively as Nigerians. And I think back to your question about hoodlums taking over, I don't think that's the case. Again, look, every society has its ills, and I think many of the ills are seen as a result of the poverty and mismanagement of government that has plagued Nigeria for a while. So you may call them hoodlums, I call them Nigerians that are disenfranchised. All right, thank you very much for that IJ, I mean, what can we say? We are hoping that really, as we keep saying, that at some point, something will shift and allow us to go back to normal lives where lessons will be learned, requests will be made, granted, and also those demands will be met by government. It is time for someone to really shift as far as all of this is concerned. Thank you very much. It's back to you, IJ.
Thanks a lot, Olu, over there in Lekki. Do keep safe as you try to give us that story. Thanks a lot for that one. And when the news at 10 returns, Russia signal new round of talks with Saudi Arabia as OPEC Plus meets to discuss weakening oil demand outlook amid rising cases of COVID-19 infections. Do join us again.
There's an old saying in Nigeria, a good name is better than gold. At First Bank, we know that our reputation, built on award-winning services, is what keeps us in the coveted position of market leader. A reputation for understanding our customers' modern lifestyles and business needs. You first. First Bank.
I'm ahead of the game.
We don't almost reach, Abby. Okay. Guys, the mechanic is almost here.
Madam!
So what do you think is wrong?
Madam, no be smart way they worry this your bike. Carburetor and radiator, you don't pafuka. If you want fix am, 50,000.
I guess I have no choice. Give me size 10 Allen Q.
Madam, the top don't spoil now. You need to buy new one. New one at 16,000.
Thanks for the help, guys. I'll be on my way now. For renting your tools.
Do what you've never done before. Find your first with these mega data plans. Dial *777#.
Help make nights rest-filled by keeping baby's bum dry all night with Huggies Dry Comfort. With our stretchy waistband and super absorbent core, Huggies Dry Comfort provides all-night dryness and comfort to make nighttime rest-filled for baby and you. Huggies, for all-night dryness and comfort. Help make nights rest-filled by keeping baby's bum dry all night with Huggies Dry Comfort. With our stretchy waistband and super absorbent core, Huggies Dry Comfort provides all-night dryness and comfort to make nighttime rest-filled for baby and you. Huggies, for all-night dryness and comfort.
Discover the new body oil and lotion range from Nivea. Precious Nivea oils meet deeply moisturizing lotion in a rich vanilla or fresh cherry blossom scent. For silky smooth and beautifully glowing skin. New Nivea body oil and lotion awaken your senses.
It's a brand new day, I'm feeling stronger. Yeah, I fit to do anything, I fit to do my work now. Yesterday was tough, but I don't repair, I don't recover. Yeah, see me as a fresh. Now that they ask me how would I do it, like me I say I still in the way. It's for capsule, I'm for liquid. Yeah.
Repair and recover with Astamine.
I'm multivitamin, yeah. Astamine anyway.
This is my time.
You are not going to spoil it.
This time is precious. Don't let mosquitoes spoil the fun. Relax and enjoy the moments that matter. Use Baygon fast-acting insect killing protection for your home. Baygon, take back your home. SC Johnson, a family company.
Smartphone Network.
For structural reforms in health, education, security, leadership, and governance, amongst others. We do agree that Nigeria as a nation has enormous but underutilized potential. And these demonstrations across various states.
As you can see there, the Endsars protests are being held as far away as Australia, with Nigerians living in Australia protesting in front of the Nigerian embassy. The protesters frown on police brutality in Nigeria and delivered a letter under the umbrella of the Coalition of Nigerian Residents in Australia to the Nigerian ambassador for onward transmission to President Muhammadu Buhari.
Why would we allow injustice to thrive on our streets? You will hear from some of us here. Some of us here have lost brothers. Yes. We've lost cousins. Yes. Some of us are survivors. We are survivors. That's we right. are survivors of police brutality. That's right. You go about in Nigeria, you can't go about your daily duties without police brutality. That's right. You look at, you have a laptop, the police stops you as if it is a crime to have a laptop. It's not a crime. Is it a crime to have a phone? No. Is it a crime to have a laptop? No. Is it a crime to look good? No. Is it a crime? No. Endsars. 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 So now this is the letter we are going to have brought. This is the Council of Nigerian Presidents in Australia, representing all Nigerian associations all over Australia. So this letter is addressed to Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Abuja, through the Ambassador Bello Kazalo Muzeli, the High Commissioner of Nigeria to Australia.
And away from the Endsars protests, ahead of the November the 18th, 2020 trial of the former chairman of the Pension Reform Task Team, Abdul Rashid Maina, a civil society organization is asking the trial judge, Justice Okonabang, to recuse himself. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, the Executive Secretary of Legislative Watch, Mr. Ngozi Kaihoma, claims that in spite of the ill health of Mr. Maina, Justice Abang continues to exhibit clear bias against the defendant who is standing trial for alleged money laundering. The group expressed concerns that Justice Abang will not approach the continued trial of Mr. Maina with an open mind based on alleged prejudicial statements made by the judge. And the Bauchi state, that's in that state in particular, well, they've held their first health summit to highlight the challenges in the sector within the state and to find possible solutions. Participants at the summit, including the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ehanire, are of the consensus that implementing the preferred solutions will help put Bauchi State on the path of being a reference point in healthcare delivery.
We recorded our first case.
It's the first health summit in Bauchi State, and gathered here are personnel in that sector, state government officials and guests to highlight the challenges and possibly prefer solutions to them.
Our continuous surveillance and contact tracing activities.
The Bauchi State government says it's decided to take a holistic approach with particular focus on certain areas in order to manage funds.
This summit should provide an opportunity for the Bauchi State to test the grit of this plan. And one of the major post-summit activities should be the review of this plan and the fine-tuning for implementation.
The government declared a state of emergency in the health sector and plans to renovate at least one general hospital in each local government area.
In a little over 1 year, this administration has renovated 2 general hospitals to full capacity in Toro and Alkaleri. And very soon we will commence renovation of all the remaining general hospitals in the state after the summit. Our target is to renovate 1 hospital in every local government headquarters. In all, a total of 26 secondary health facilities plus our specialist hospital Bauchi and 323 primary health centers are planned to be renovated.
To ensure affordable and qualitative health for Nigerians, the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ehanire, believes a collaboration among the various sectors will make the difference.
We must harness these untapped capabilities of our health and social systems by also strengthening public-private partnership in the health space for sustained economic growth.
Funding has been identified as a major hindrance to effective healthcare delivery. It's also been highlighted here as one that will be resolved quickly to position Bauchi State as a reference point for quality and affordable healthcare delivery beyond this summit.
This will also accentuate the need.
From health, let's take a look at some business news, and here's Anne Wilder.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Ijoma. Hello and welcome to Business News. Russia has signaled a new round of talks with Saudi Arabia as a joint ministerial monitoring committee of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries met today to discuss weakening demand for oil. The meeting was held virtually today in order to assess the state of global oil market as demand comes under pressure once again from the resurgence of coronavirus pandemic. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and allies, including Russia, collectively known as OPEC Plus, have been reducing output since January 2017 in an effort to balance the market, support prices, and reduce inventories. The oil producer group will meet again on November the 30th, and they're expected to give a supply decision by December the 1st. The federal government is seeking the input of Nigerians in the diaspora as part of efforts to attain macroeconomic stability using the medium-term expenditure framework. The Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, Mr. Clem Agba, was speaking at a virtual meeting with Nigerians in the diaspora. Meanwhile, the federal government has commenced the free registration of 250,000 business names across the country as part of its post-COVID-19 MSME survival intervention efforts. According to a statement by the Corporate Affairs Commission, 6,006 business names will be registered in 34 states, while Abia, Lagos and Kano will have 7,906, 9,084 and 8,406 accordingly. The CAC further says that aggregators have been appointed to receive applications from interested persons in line with these requirements. After a cautious trading session, the local equities market has started a new week with no change at all in direction for key indicators, amid concerns over the continued nationwide protest against human rights abuse and police brutality.
Thank you and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The market closed unchanged but still remains in bull territory, and that's why the raging bull continues to intimidate the gentle bear. There was actually a bit of struggle between the two animals. We saw the bear leading the better part of today's session until few minutes to the close of trading, when stocks like Adova and Konoy made it to the gainers table. There was bargain hunting, but it was subtle. Activities were more on the banking stocks, though more of sell down. And so overall, a little over 3 billion naira was realized from the sale of about 287 million shares in 5,132 deals. Look at the sectoral chart. Investors took profit on the banking and industrial goods counter, but the gains by international breweries, Guinness, Adova and Konoy, supported consumer goods and the oil and gas sectors. Generally, today's activities can be described as a wait-and-see game in anticipation of the third quarter earnings, which are expected to be positive. For now, the companies are just sending out notices of board meetings in preparation for the release of the results. Meanwhile, the market seems unperturbed by the Endsars protest. However, traders say if this is allowed to go on for a long time, it may deter investors and in the long run, take its toll on the market. And that was the Stock Market Report. I'm Chimeze Obi Iwago.
Thanks a lot, Chimeze. Meanwhile, banks and industrial equities lifted major stock markets across Africa. It's a different story for stock markets in the US. Let's see how they all closed today. Thanks for watching Business News Tonight. I'm Anne Nwawadu. It's back to you, Joma.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Anne. Still ahead on the news at 10, the United States faces tougher days as the country witnesses an upsurge in coronavirus cases. Do join us again.
Tumbo, Baskele. Oga, choose right. Choose Quarter. Madam, what is happening?
My baby has malaria, and I'm thinking.
You are thinking? Madam, don't play with malaria. Choose right. Choose Quartem cherry flavored dispersible malaria tablet for your kids.
Quartem?
Yes, because with Quartem dispersible tablet, there is accuracy in dosage delivery and efficacy.
Don't gamble with malaria. Choose right. Choose Quartem. Also available in cherry flavored dispersible tablets for children. If symptoms persist after 3 days, please consult your doctor.
Buy 11, get 1 free. Winning energy for their lunchbox. Buy 11, get 1 free. Winning energy for their lunchbox.
Make a load recharge card, I beg.
I don't find the money.
Plenty day to win for the 9 Mobile Mega Millions promo. 1 million naira for one person every day for 90 days. 2 smartphones every hour, every day for 90 days. 10 million naira star price day. New customers just come with side or buy a new line, and we go send you free 1 gigabyte plus 500 naira airtime. So make you the recharge 200 naira or more. Make you for the win.
9 Mobile.
'Cause I'm the new best thing. I'm the new best thing. Better than you've ever seen. I'm the new best thing. I'm gonna be the king. I bring that ching ching ching. Yeah, I'm the new best thing. I'm the new best thing.
Discover new Guinness Smooth. Perfectly balanced for a smooth, refreshing taste. New Guinness Smooth.
Welcome back. The chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa, has described the ongoing #Endsars protests as a super spreader event that could result in a potential spike in the number of COVID-19 cases across the country. The PTF chairman has given just 2 weeks before the protesters, whom he categorizes as potential carriers, will begin to manifest symptoms, resulting in a surge of COVID-19 infections. He says the PTF is worried that the continued action against the rules could result in a second deadly wave. And experts in the United States are drawing attention to new coronavirus cases growing rapidly across the country. On Friday, America reportedly recovered nearly 70,000 new cases, in the highest number of new infections seen in one day since the month of July. Over the past week, cases have been tending upward for 48 states. Only Vermont and Missouri have recorded numbers that are improving. Here's Simon Pusey with more in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Italy has announced a new raft of measures to tighten restrictions amid a surge in coronavirus cases. A mask-wearing Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte said the measures were needed to avoid a new lockdown. Mayors will get powers to close public areas after 9 p.m, and the opening times of restaurants and the size of groups allowed will tighten. The move comes as Italy recorded its highest daily infection rate for the second day in a row. China's economy has continued its recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, according to its latest official figures. The world's second biggest economy saw growth of 4.9% between July and September, compared to the same quarter last year. However, the figure is lower than the 5.2% expected by economists. Thousands of people have attended rallies across France in honor of Samuel Paty, the teacher beheaded after showing cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad to his pupils. A man named as Abdullah A was shot dead by police on Friday after killing Mr. Paty close to his school near Paris. An 11th person has now been arrested as part of the investigation. Demonstrations in Chile against inequality have turned violent as vandals burned 2 churches, virtually destroying one of them. A fire erupted at Santiago's Church of the Ascension in the capital after vandals attacked the building located near Plaza Italia. Demonstrators are protesting on the 1-year anniversary of marches against inequality. Later in the day, masked individuals firebombed a police headquarters and another church. Thai police have announced an investigation of 4 news outlets after emergency measures imposed last week to try to stop 3 months of protests against the government and monarchy. The announcement at a press conference has prompted anger from media groups and accusations of an attack on press freedom. Police say there are around 20,000 protesters still out in the capital demanding reforms to the monarchy to reduce the powers of the king. Right-wing nationalist Ersin Tatar has won the presidential election in Turkish-controlled northern Cyprus. Mr. Tatar, who is pro-Turkey and wants the divided Mediterranean island to be 2 separate states, received nearly 52% of the vote in a surprise victory. Cyprus has been divided since 1974, when Turkey invaded the north after a military coup backed by Greece. Exit polls suggest socialist candidate Luis Arce is set to win Bolivia's presidential election. The polls indicate that Mr. RK, who is an ally of exiled former President Evo Morales, has won enough votes to stave off a second round. Mr. RK says he will form a government of national unity. Ballots are being counted in Guinea's presidential election as incumbent 82-year-old Alpha Condé seeks a controversial third term. Provisional results must be announced 72 hours after the closure of polling stations, according to the electoral law. Presidential candidates need more than 50% of the vote for an outright victory, or there will be a second round on the 24th of November. 10 other candidates are also running. New Zealand's next parliament is set to be the most inclusive ever, with several people of colour and a high number of women. Labour won 64 of the 120 parliament seats, and more than half of those are female candidates. It also has 16 indigenous Maori MPs and the first leader of African origin, an Eritrean former refugee.
It was 2 days ago, I was just door knocking, and here I am in Parliament today.
It's a huge privilege, and being the first African MP, and I think second Muslim in the history of New Zealand Parliament.
And getting used to everything and knowing where everything is right now, right? It's a big place.
It's all been so surreal for me and my family.
And finally, specialised drones that disperse seeds will be trialled in Australia to help regenerate bushland and wildlife after the country's devastating summer bushfires. World Wildlife Fund Australia says it plans to use drones that can plant around 40,000 seeds a day, including ones for eucalyptus trees, which would help revive wildlife corridors across burnt-out landscapes and inaccessible terrain. Areas in consideration for the trial include northern New South Wales, southeastern Queensland and East Gippsland in Victoria.
The magnitude of the bushfire crisis requires us to respond at a scale that's never been done before. That's why WWF Australia is launching a bold vision. The bold vision is called Regenerate Australia. Regenerate Australia will be our nation's largest ever restoration program.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. In the English Premier League, promoted West Brom Albion and Burnley fought out a goalless draw after both sides missed chances to register a first win of the season in a pulsating clash earlier this evening. The result left West Brom 17th in the standings on 2 points from 5 games, while 18th place Burnley have won from 4 after a dominant second-half performance. Manchester United Edinson Cavani will not make his debut for the team against former club PSG on Tuesday night after the striker was left home for the Champions League opener in Paris. The 33-year-old did not travel to the French capital with his first-team squad earlier today and is expected to continue training at the club's Carrington base this week. Meanwhile, PSG coach Thomas Tuchel says his side will concentrate on combating Manchester United's counterattacks in their Champions League opener on Tuesday night. PSG wasted a 2-goal first-leg lead in a 3-1 home defeat by United at the last 16 stage in 2019, but this year reached the final before losing 1-0 to Bayern Munich in August. That's it on Sports News. Ijama, back to you.
Thank you, Olumide. And the main news again. 2 Endsars protesters were killed in the nation's capital this evening after they were attacked by hoodlums who also burned several cars in a car mart. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for staying with us. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Good night, and do stay safe out there.
This program is brought to you by the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC.
This is NDDC Today.
Good evening. It's all quiet on the Western Front, as they say. When the Niger Delta catches cold, the entire country sneezes. quite rightly too, because we ought to be looking at the area of the country that is responsible for our economic well-being. So all the controversy around the NDDC and all the interest that come from all over the country, anytime anything is happening in the NDDC is quite in order. And we are here every week to keep you abreast on exactly just what is happening. I'm Patrick Oche. Welcome to NDDC Today. Hello. In February this year, the baton of leadership at the NDDC changed hands once again, as it has been doing quite frequently over the past 10 years. But in this case, there was a difference. A new word was added into the lexicon, the Dictionary of Development Agencies, the IMC. Now, it started with 3 people, then it was expanded to include 5. So we had 5 members of the Interim Management Committee. Now, it's been one flag or the other since then. The first thing that came under attack with this management was the term IMC itself, Interim Management Committee.